Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today is day 17 of 100 machine learning projects, and today I'm going to discuss one of my project that I worked on during my masters. So today we will be working on we are going to create and understand how to make a prediction model for heart related issues based on lifestyle, societal and demographic factors, because we all know, like, we can understand like why these factors are actually important, and lot of already available models mostly work towards making sure that the clinical data, that is the BP and everything, the cholesterol and everything is good or not, and clinical data with the heart rate, systolic and diastolic BP. So today we will be discussing about how these factors we can involve, we can include, and maybe try to generate a prediction model, try to create a prediction model, and on the basis of that also I'm going to implement multiple models, multiple algorithms to make sure to understand like which of the algorithm is giving me a better, accuracy, better precision, recall and everything. So let me share my screen and we can just start going through the code. We can understand what the data set is. The data set is cardiovascular disease, which is also available at Kaggle. You guys can download it and you guys can start running on your model and on different ways. So today we will be working on that. Let me see. Okay, I think this is the, yeah, predict. Okay, yeah, my screen is visible now. Let me see, where is that? Okay, yeah. So first, let's talk about the dataset. The code uses the cardiotrain.csv dataset, which is publicly available dataset like for predicting the cardiovascular disease. It contains patient's information like age, gender, cholesterol levels, blood pressure, and lifestyle factors such as smoking and alcohol consumption. So hopefully I can, yeah, I hope it. Yeah, so it might take some time because it's like I think 70,000 records are there. So it might take time to load this data set, but yeah, maybe it will take some time. Okay, no problem. Till it's loading, we can do this predict. I know my laptop takes a lot of time in reloading it. I'm sorry. Yeah, but till then, I can discuss about the, what kind of data set we have. It combines like patient information like age, gender, cholesterol levels, blood pressure, and lifestyle factors such as smoking, like if a person smokes or not, and alcohol consumption, and the target variable called cardio, which indicates whether a patient has a cardiovascular condition or not. Like if there is an chance of having cardiovascular like disease or not. So that is one for yes, zero for no. And this data set is great for like binary classification problems, because the at least at the end the target variable is zero or one. So you can understand that there are only two classes. That's why we can say that this is a good data set for binary classification problems. We are not going to get into what kind of heart related issues, just we are saying that you will have it or not. And I am telling you, this is just an educational video, this is just an educational model. If you want to use this model, make sure at the end you are also going, there should be a medical team to verify your data. So we didn't have the verification yet done because we are not involving this data towards the user. But if you want to move in that particular field, because there has been a lot of advancements on this, yeah. So let me see if we can find it. Okay. Okay, I'm not sure that I should do this or not. Okay, yeah, you can see that these are the data, that ID, age, gender, height, weight. This is the high BP, this is the low BP, cholesterol, glucose, smoke, smoke, alcohol, active. If he is an active person, that means if he does exercise or not, and the cardio. That is the basic information. Yeah, okay, this is good. I was a little bit worried that time. And the algorithms, because this was an experiment, we have also written a research paper on this. So this was developed by this project was done with my group. This was a group project for us. We did it under our professor, Dr. Bonaventure Malagu, and my teammates were Pravalika, Bindu, Akanksha, and Prithvi. So all thanks to them, their contribution in this and this project. To we have gone through like multiple projects and everything. But I really wanted to discuss about this because yesterday also we worked on disease prediction, and I told you guys that I will also create a video on one of the projects that we have worked on. So now let's cover the machine learning algorithms used that we used in the project. The this project trains and compares like six different models to see which one performs best for their classification task. And we will talk about the algorithms were the random forest, which is basically an ensemble method that combines like multiple decision trees to make predictions. It's a great for handling complex data sets and reduces overfitting. So random forest is a very good algorithm, and we have used random forest classifier for last video as well as multiple videos in our previous videos. Also we have used random forest classifier. So what it does, it creates multiple decision trees and it creates an average of that, and that's how it is called random forest. For the XG, and we also used XGBoost. It is a powerful gradient boosting algorithm that optimizes decision trees for better accuracy. It's known for its speed and performance in multiple competitions. It's a very reliable algorithm that we wanted to see that how much we can get anything from this. We also use light GBM. That is also one of the gradient boosting algorithms similar to XGBoost, but optimizes for large data set and faster training. So this also worked very nice with this data set. But if you have a huge number of data set, you can also use the light GPM. It's a very good gradient boosting algorithm that you can use there. Then we also use decision tree to make you guys understand what kind of different learning curves happens and how these difference are. I'm also going to show you what different learning curves looks like, and how we were able to visualize them. So decision tree was there. We also did KNN, that is the k nearest neighbor. This algorithm predicts by finding the k closest, that if I told you about how the KNN works. Like a lot of clusters are made, and on the basis of the new information coming, it will try to define that it belongs to this, this neighbor or this neighbor, and that's how the prediction is done. For the logistic regression, we have the classical, logistic regression. We have implemented multiple of times, like for binary classification that predicts the probability of an outcome by using a logistic function, and it's simple and it's very interpretable. So these guys are very these algorithms are very near to each other and very good to each other, and have a very standard, like okay, you start from this algorithm and then you say okay, this is overfitting, and then you move to next one, and then you move to another one. So we will move towards this is the import setup that you can see that we imported these many libraries. You can see Pandas, NumPy, Matplotlib, Seaborn. Then there are the different models that we used. We used XGBoost, LightGBM, and learn over sampling. Also JobLib, for saving the data, and warnings and OS, to move around the directory or the system where the informations are stored. So this is the function that was actually loading and pre-processing the data for us. And it is just loading our cardio train CSV file, and using the semicolon separator. So we are separating all those files and making it into different kind, into days to years for easier interpretation, and drops the ID column because it will not provide any information or any significance for the prediction. So we are going to drop that. And we are also keeping the systolic pressure between 80 and 250, and diastolic pressure between 40 and 150. Like missing values are filled with the median. So this is like a based basic data processing that a person needs to do on the basis of that. But because we also wanted to do like engineering, like feature engineering in that, because that means that we are going to create more features, new features on the basis of the older features that we already have. So here what we did, so we calculated the BMI, that is the blood mass index, and pulse pressure on the basis of informations that we have, like height and weight. And for the pulse pressure, we used both the diastolic and systolic information. As you can see that this is how it was calculated, these formulas were used. And then the random seed was generated for the information, the median income. We also use a different a different algorithm, random values for median income, because stress was also very important. And we can kind of like in medical data, we can identify stress on the base of how much BP that you have, how much blood pressure it's going on. And this is how we are calculating the stress also. This is will be like a lifestyle factor. The diet risk, the diet risk also on the basis of the cholesterol. So what feature engineering is, like we have we have different features. Now we are making more features that also provides more meaning for the prediction, because we wanted to make sure that the it has all kind of like factors, that is lifestyle, societal, demographic. So this is how we used feature engineering to create more factors, and to understand how these factors actually were responsible for the prediction, and how they actually impacted the prediction of our data. So this is the prepare this is how we prepared the data. As we selected some features and target variables, we plot and save correlation matrix. We also have the correlation matrix that is in the output model. So if you want, I can show you guys that also. We applied smart to handle class balance, because we also talked to you about the imbalance of the classes. If there are less information, if there are less people with cardiovascular disease, so there if there and more people with a good amount of range with people who don't have cardiovascular disease, then there might be a chance that model will not predict it very properly. So you have to have the balance of both the classes. So for that we use smart, like the same scenario that we have used in our previous videos. Then we split and scale our data, and then we are using the train, and that's it. So now there are different models that we're using. The random forest is we are using the model random forest classifier. We are using the train XGBoost. We are using GridSearch CV, that is a fine tuning algorithm to fine tune the hyperparameters of XGBoost. We wanted to also understand like what kind of features can we hypertune, some learning rate like max depth and n estimators. So you have to remember that XGBoost is also kind of a decision tree, but it makes the to that it does not go in a very long way. So it's a better version of decision tree random forest. So this is XGBoost. Same goes with the light GBM, decision tree, KNN. We just use the model, and we fitted the model on the training data. And by training data, this is the evaluate and plot method. You can see that we said we provided the different accuracy, lot of different things, and this is how the main method was called. So I will show you that how we were able to see that. So random forest evaluation, best threshold as 0.5, accuracy 72%. So these are the informations that we received, but this is not the like the whole scenario. So for that I have this drive that I can show you guys with. Okay, yeah. Preparing data. Okay. So let me share my screen that I have for different, for more information sharing. Yeah. Okay, so this is the thing. So you can see that this was the confusion matrix that we have. We plotted this confusion matrix on the basis of, sorry, correlation matrix on the basis of, all the features, that how these features are related to each other. And we, this is like preparing the data and understanding data, that how these are related to each other as well as to the to the target variable. And these were the models implemented. So these were the learning curve. You can see this is the learning curve for the random forest. We are getting 100% training accuracy and very less, validation accuracy. So we also did the validation testing on all of these models. So for this, you have to understand that because of this, this is not a very good model. It has not trained very well, because you can see that there is no convergence of, information that is being done. There is no convergence of, the data of the training accuracy and model accuracy coming together, testing accuracy. Same goes for the decision tree. It like highly overfitted. Same goes for the KNN, overfitting was there. So that's why we came to like a little bit complicated, better version of, how to get these accuracy better, because we were getting a lot of overfitting. So for that we used logistic regression. It converges after a while. You can say the training accuracy as well as validation accuracy tries to converges after a while. And but the learning here, you can see that XGBoost, the learning here is better. And for light GBM also they are trying to converge, and it is going through dip and it's little smooth also. So that this is how actually a good model learns. So these are the learning curves that are very important for everyone to understand, like how your model is learning throughout the stages, throughout the information, and how you are testing it, how the validation accuracy and the training accuracy actually matters. So this is very important, and a very good way to visualize the learning rate of that. So this is a very good. This was the ROC accuracy curve that we plotted for all the algorithms. You can see random forest got like 78% accuracy, XGBoost got 80%, light GBM 80%, decision tree 64%, KNN 74, logistic regression 79. So this is important, and these are the actually the accuracy that actually were there, that actually mattered like most. Were you can see that these are the accuracy, precision, recall, F1, ROC, and training accuracy. So you can see the light GBM and XGBoost gave us the very good accuracy of 73.50 we were getting, and precision this. So this was an ROC accuracy curve. Because of the imbalance of the data, ROC accuracy curve, informations will have more priority. So we can see that that is 80.24, 80.40. But definitely you have a lot of different models that you can use to train this. So this was just a basic one that we did, like moving through, converting, how to enhance and how to get lifestyle, societal, and different kind of factors into that. And data set is only the 70,000 records, so we cannot actually say that this is recording, this is working that much very nicely. So but still, like if you have a very huge data set and you are in a lab that you can actually have like hundreds and thousands of data set, then you can use that datas, and you can train your model on that, and you can train multiple algorithms. Make sure that you train multiple algorithms. Try to fine tune if you have a little bit trust on a particular algorithm, if you can fine tune the hyperparameters on that. So that would be actually great. You will be able to learn a lot of things, and not only that, you will be able to understand how tweaking the hyperparameters, the accuracy of a model is changing, how it is learning better. If I increase the learning rate from 0.01 to 0.09, what is the difference? It is not going to learn very much properly. So you have to start with very less, and then you start tweaking a little bit. How can I change the n estimators? If I change the max depth, how the variables are changing. So these are the factors that you change, and you try a little bit combinations of that, and after a while you get a sense of it, that what you tweak and to a what extent, that the model will actually will be able to train more proficiently and more nicely, and was will not overfit also. So you have to go through the data and understand it very well. So this is one of the project that we worked on. We wanted, this is an evaluation paper, experimental evaluation papers, where we choose a data set, we implement all kinds of algorithms, try to hyperparameter tune our fine tune our hyperparameters, and see which algorithms gives us the better accuracy. So this is also a very good thing that you want to test, because we have gone through multiple algorithms. We can go through these multiple algorithms together. If you want a particular algorithm to understand better, I can also make a video on that algorithm, only explaining that. So this is a very good project for a beginner that you can start and understand. If you also want a link of our research paper that the team has written, I'm happy to share that as well. So this is it for today, and hopefully you like the video, and I really wish you subscribe my channel so that you get all the videos that I post regularly on machine learning projects. And and maybe tomorrow I will be giving you a very like good project with post estimation using our ResNet. So this is a very good project. I have already worked on it, so it is like 90% done. So today tomorrow video is also like very interesting. So I please make sure that you hit that notification button, so you are very much aware of how when I'm posting those videos. So that is it from my side, and I really hope you enjoy these videos, and the time that we spend together learning together. So if you have any questions, any concerns, also you guys can just reach out to me through comments. If you my email ID is very much simple. You can also just leave a comment, and I will try to definitely get back to you. And if you want to work on a project, then also that's good. If you want me to work on that, on your project, and make a video on that, maybe I can also do that. So that is it from my side, and thank you. Thank you so much for being here, and thank you so much. I really appreciate you guys giving some time and so much effort on me. So thank you. Hopefully I will see you tomorrow. Thank you. Bye bye.